Town meeting in Londonderry looked a little different this year. Instead of jamming in together at the town hall meeting space in South Londonderry, about 70 civic-minded residents gathered at Pingree Park, a recreational spot just off Route 30 in the town of Londonderry, under an overcast sky and intermittent breezes, to take part in the annual exercise of local grassroots democracy. The visuals may have been a little different, as was the timing, Saturday, May 1st. Londonderry was one of the communities which opted to delay holding its town meeting for a few months after the usual first Tuesday in March date, in order to allow for enough time to ease some of the pandemic-induced restrictions to have an in-person, offline town meeting. But the sense of civic engagement and interest in town affairs was no different from before. The main item on the agenda that drew the most discussion was a proposal to spend $45,000 on a contract with the Windham County Sheriff's Department to provide policing services for the town. Previously, the town had contracted with the Vermont State Police for those services, but both town officials and the state police were ready for a change.
I just wanted to get a little history on how we got to this point with this article.
In 2016, the town voted to spend $86,000 on the Vermont State Police for a certain number of patrol hours per week. Over time, Select Board Chairwoman Georgianne Morris said, the availability of the Vermont State Police had dwindled to the point where this year they weren't sure they could provide any additional service. In addition, a policing committee has been formed to look at other options, and that led to discussions with the Windham County Sheriff's Office. Sergeant Christopher Norton from the Windham County Sheriff's Department spoke about what they could offer the town.
Hello. Along with that, we were able to provide other services, such as what I do now as the Highway Safety Coordinator. Some of you may have seen me in town. I have done some traffic enforcement here. But basically, that position allows me to travel throughout the county and help out with traffic-related issues. We also do contracting for all sorts of different events as part of a full-service agency. Sometimes those events are ones that we can provide as part of that contract as well. But we provide anything any other police department does, minus special teams like the state police would have.
In the end, voters approved the article. Speeding issues were another and related topic brought up by several residents in the audience during the meeting.
We have a problem. There is too much fast cars going in trucks going through from the corner store to Rouse Road. There are now over 10 children living along that stretch, that heavily residential stretch. And there is a library, there are kids on scooters. And I would like to bring this issue to the floor because I think something else needs to happen. People are not following those signs. I know it's a shortcut to get to work up at Stratton, but between 6:30 and 7:30, and also later in the evening on their way home, there's way too much speeding traffic. Something's going to happen, and I think we need to do something other than signs. And I know we've talked about getting a part-time police, and that's great, but could we do something else?
Otherwise, townspeople voted to approve a general fund budget of $2,079,000, with total expenditures taking that to about $2.46 million. Still, a decrease of about $110,000 from last year's $2.57 million. Voters also opted to establish a Community Economic Improvement Reserve Fund intended to support revitalization and development efforts in Londonderry, along with a Highway Improvement Reserve Fund. Afterwards, we had a chance to talk with Georgianne Mora, who had been the chairwoman of the Select Board until the end of the meeting. She had announced she was stepping down from the Select Board and not running for re-election. Melissa Brown was elected to take her place.
I can't believe we got it done in 2 hours. That's got to be a record. We had originally contracted with the Vermont State Police in 2016 for up to 20 hours a week, and that amounted to $86,000 a year. But that was not, it was not a fixed number of hours. It was overtime hours that troopers could put in if they felt like it. And so for the first year, we did get close to 20 hours each week, but that dwindled over time for a number of reasons. They just, were lacking in manpower because it was at the discretion of the individual troopers. Not many of them were interested in driving an hour each way to put in overtime, because while they were paid well for the time they were here, they weren't paid for their travel time.
The meeting was finished in about 2 hours, a bit shorter from the usual from previous meetings. Next year, residents will presumably be able to leave the folding chairs and blankets at home when they converge on the familiar meeting place in South Londonderry. For the GNAT-TV News Project, I'm Andrew McKeever.